Hi there. I'm Casey Chisholm Miller, owner and artist at Yaya Made Galveston. And today we're going to do a redo. Last week I attempted to show you how to take up some pants that were really too big. And I was distracted because I'd had a boo-boo with my car. No one but the car was injured, and it's all fixed now. It's all good. Anyway, I was so distracted from that that I didn't do a good job. And I didn't have a good example to show you. And it just wasn't up to par. I'm kind of picky. So I deleted that video because I wanted to really show you how to do it. And because there may be a time when you have something that you want to take up that's way too big, and you can't just do it by taking in the side seams. It just doesn't work. And that's what happened to me. I bought some pants that were several sizes too big, and I bought them at a thrift store and paid like a couple of dollars, and thought I'd just use the fabric because I like the fabric. And then when I got home, I looked at them closer, and I really liked the pants, the way they were constructed. And they were several sizes too big, and I thought, okay, how am I going to take these up? They have, these are the pants. They have these little pockets that I liked, and if I tried taking in just the side seams, I'd lose, most of that pocket, and then the garment wouldn't fit right anyway. So I remembered seeing, and I even have some pants that have seams down the middle of the leg, in the front and on the back. So I thought, what if I just put seams in the front and backs of these pants and take pretty big seams and see if I can take them in. So that's what I attempted to do, and it worked. Now, I will admit that when I first did that, the placement of the back seams was not in the right place. So I had to rip those out and repin them and do it again. So getting the seams located seemed to be the most difficult thing for me. And so I did it on another pair, because I always do things at least twice, 2 or 3 times before I show y'all, because I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And so I did it on another pair, and I had the same problem, and I had to repin it. So I think I have solved the problem this time. This is the second pair, and I have the seams that go down the front. And this one had no front pockets, but it had back pockets, and it had those kind of hidden pockets. I forgot what those are called, but I sewed those shut. And then I had some extra material from these, and I'll put patch pockets, and I'll put that over there, and I'll hide that. So what I discovered in all of this, it was that pinning them so you get your seams in the right place was the most difficult part for me. So I tried it again. I have a third pair, and this is the pair that we're going to work on. And so I did it differently. This time I just, before I tried, okay, my belly button's here and my knee, and I traced up from my knee to what I thought would be the middle of the seam at my waist, and then measured that and did that on the other side. Well, that worked for the front, but on the back, you can't see what you're doing, and I don't have a sewing partner that can help me do that. So I, held my hand and traced up my butt and my waist. It didn't work. So I thought, well, let's see. I'm a sewist. What do? Well, my gosh, you try things on and then you pin it. So that's what we did. That's what we're doing today. And I put on tights so I wouldn't flash anybody. So anyway, I've got this third pair of pants and I've already pinned them, but I'm going to show you what I did. And pause while she puts the pants on and move my keys. I have to keep my keys because sometimes if I'm out in the yard, my husband forgets and locks the door. So, because he forgets a lot. Okay, so I've got the pants on and I have them pinned, but they're still hanging on me. So let me put this down here. I'll show you what I did. Okay, when I put them on, since we're not going to do anything to the center seam, and we're not going to do anything to the side seam, but I need to define the center. So I put them on, and I got them tight in the back, and pinned it, because I knew my side seam, my front seam is in the right place. So I pinned it, and then I pinned here, and pinned down the front, and pinned here, and pinned down the front. And then I did the thing, I had to do this by feel, did the same thing in the back. Then I took the pants off, and put them on the table, and fiddled with them. Here's my pen. And held them up, and then, you know, it's supposed to be straight, and so the pins were in the right places, so I moved the pins, and then I tried it on again, and, you know, did that again, and I just kept doing that until everything looked like it was in the right place. So, the best thing to do is if you had a sewing buddy that could help you pin that, that would be the easiest thing. And if somebody knows a better way, please put that in the comments. So what we're going to do today is we're going to seam up the seams. I'm going to do just one. Well, oh, the pin was all backwards. I'm just going to do one seam, and we're going to seam it, and then I'm going to show you how I finished off that seam. Now, when I seam it, I am using a stitch length of 3. And the reason, because if I make a boo-boo and I need to rip it out, if it's not in the right place, then I'll be able to do that. And that's what I did on these other 2 pair. And I had to rip out both times, and it was fine. When you only have one seam to, you know, well, it was 2 seams. But when you have a stitch length of 3 or more, it's not really a basting stitch. I sew with the garment construction with the 3 usually anyway. Anyway, we're going to seam these up, and then I'm going to show you how I finished it off. So let's go to the machine. I hit something. Something happened, and we got a little blurb, so I hope you're still there. All right, you can see the foot. You can see what's going on. Let's turn this puppy on, and we're going to seam that first seam. Now, before it, let me tell you first, before I did any of this, I took the belt loops off. I took the pockets off and I undid the waistband or the waist facing, whichever the pants are, whichever the pants have. And then I lifted that facing up. This is the facing, the waist facing, and it's going to be part of the seam. Now, if you were in home ec, you would have taken the waistband off and done your alterations and then added your waistband back later. But this is a faster way, and it's going to look just as nice. So my waistband, I'm going to start that seam at a 1/2 inch, and then the rest of my seam I'm using 3/4 inches. And I've got this magnetic seam guide that I'm going to use here. So we're just going to start sewing. And I'm at about 1/2 inch here. And then I'm going to increase that to a 3/4 inch seam. And there, my foot got underneath the fabric there. Okay, let me straighten out my seam. Here we go, 3/4 inches. That's a big seam. But when you finish it off, it won't be so big and bulky. Oh, sorry, that's the thread cutter, and it's really loud on this machine. Okay, snip my threads. Now, what I would do is do all 4 of those seams and then try it on. And if any of them were off kilter, then I'd rip it out and do it again. But we're not going to do that because today I'm just showing you the finishing techniques. So I've got this big O seam. See how big the seam is? And I don't want to leave all that bulk there. So I'm going to cut that open. So here's my seam, and there's all the extra there. So I'm going to cut that open. All the way. And it gets into the pocket part. It's kind of bulky, so it's a little harder to cut. And that's cutting through the seam at the waist facing. And so now I've cut it apart. Now we've got to finish that off. So I have a serger, so I'm going to serge mine. If you don't have a serger, then you can zigzag the edges or overcast the edges. Most of the sewing machines today have an overcast stitch, so you can do that. I have a serger, so I'm going to serge mine. So let's go do that. Okay, can't we see? There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to put the fabric in here. First, I would have pressed those seams open so they'd be nice and flat. But I'm trying to speed up for you guys. Now, I'm going to put my seam in here so that my presser foot edge is on the inside of the seam, is on the actual seam itself. And only the very edge. Not really cutting off a whole lot with the serger knife. And the serger's kind of loud. You may want to turn your volume down. I've decided I have an old yoga mat. Why I ever had a yoga mat, I don't know. I never did yoga. But, and of course, I used a Sharpie and put my name all over it. So nobody's going to want it. And, I think I'm going to cut that up and use that for a cushion for my serger. Okay, that's one side of that seam done. We're going to do the other one. And when you do this, it really is a nice seam finish. And the edge of my foot is resting on the center of that seam, the actual seam itself. Trying to fix it so you can see what's going on. We're in a thicker part, that's why it's louder. I'm hoping that cushion will help. Almost done. Okay, that is done. Back to the work table. Okay, let's see if we can see what we did. Okay, this is what your seam is going to look like after you serged it. And when you press it open, it's going to lie nice and flat. And you're not going to have a lot of fraying. Now, if you... Pins in that other part are sticking me. Now, like I said, if you don't have a serger, you can trim these seams, trim these edges, excuse me, and then use an overcast stitch on your sewing machine or a zigzag stitch. And that will look just as neat. And there's no fraying. Now, after we've done that, we're going to fold over, and we've done that on all the seams. Then we're just going to fold over the waist facing all the way, and then we're going to sew it down again. You can sew it right along there, edge stitching, and just sew that down all the way around, and you have a nice, neat waist facing. And then what I'm going to do with these, once I'm done, is I've saved the pockets. I'm going to put the pockets back on the back of the pants, and it has pockets. Let's see, this is the one. It has those pockets like the other one did that I liked, and I still have plenty of pocket because I took it up in the middle instead of on the sides. So that's how it works when you have pants that are way, way too big. 4 seams. Seams down the front middle and the back middle. And then finish off your seams pretty. And then fold your waist facing or waistband back over. And if you're more comfortable, you can remove the waistband, make your alterations, and then you'll have to take your waistband up. And so that's why I did it in the one step. I hope that was helpful to you. It's not very often, I think, that we would find a pair of pants that are that much bigger that we want to take up, but could be. And if it happens, then you're ready. You know how to do it. Thank you very much. And for those of you who knew what went on, I hit the curb with my tire. We had a deluge of rain, and the water was over the curb in my driveway, the bottom of my driveway. My driveway is real steep slope, and I have to come in at an angle. And the curb, the bottom of the driveway and the curb was all underwater. And so I misjudged, and I wanted to go at a pretty good clip so my car wouldn't stall in the water. And I did, and I hit the curb. And I ruined my tire and bent the rim. And so I had to get a new tire and rim. But fortunately, nothing else was damaged. And of course, nobody was hurt. But it was upsetting, to say the least. But there's not a whole lot that can't be fixed, whether it's sewing or whether it's your car or whether it's remodeling your house. Everything can be fixed. So anyway, the car's fine, I'm fine. And now you know how to take up pants that are way, way too big. And so I'm going to tell you again that I'm Casey Chisholm Miller at Yaya Made Galveston, owner and artist. And I would invite you, if you have not already, to follow my Facebook page and follow me also on YouTube. And I put most of my videos that I make here on Facebook also up on YouTube. I have more success watching them on YouTube because there seems to be always one little glitch. And then when you try to play it on Facebook, it stops at that glitch. And you just have to put your cursor just past the glitch and hit it, and then the video will play. Well, it doesn't happen when I show it on YouTube so far. So I like to watch them on YouTube. And when I learn how to edit videos, I'm going to make some non-live videos for other, other sewing things and maybe some home deck things and all that kind of jazz. And so anyway, follow me on Facebook and YouTube, like and share and comment on my videos, and check out my Etsy store, yayamadegalveston.etsy.com, where I have handbags and some other fun little things and sewing patterns. And you might find something you can't live without. And tell your friends. And I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. And be safe. Bye.